Hello and welcome to the workshop once again. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about wheel alignment, why I think it's important, and give you a way that you can check this for yourself very easily with very little tools. Now I think wheel alignment is one of the fundamentals of setting up a motorcycle for good handling. I'll show you quickly why I think that. So imagine this is your front wheel. And this is your rear wheel. And when we want to tighten the chain, we adjust the adjuster on this side, and we pull the wheel back to tighten the chain. If you loosen those adjusters, it moves the wheel forward, that loosens the chain. But what can happen is you're focusing on the chain side and you're adjusting this side, pulling that back, pull that wheel back, it does this. Now, if you look at that angle, the bike's going to go around right-hand corners much easier than it is going to go around left-hand corners. Yeah, the natural state of pulling the wheel around to the right. The other side, you might be able to adjust that side more and you'll end up with this. And this way, it's going to go around left-hand corners easier than it goes around right-hand corners. So the fundamental part of this is we want to make sure that the wheels are in line. The unfortunate part of that is that the manufacturers don't give you a great way of doing this. So we need another way. And I'll show you what's wrong. If you look at the adjuster here, the manufacturer has given us some little marks here on the adjuster plate, which moves backwards and forwards. Also here on the swinging arm. And we're supposed to tell from these marks where this is adjusted. Now, if I say that this one's roughly adjusted so the front of the plate is right on the edge of that, we can go around the other side and check to see if that's the same. Okay, on the other side of the bike, we can zoom in and have a look, and those plates, I would say, appear to be about right. So according to the adjustment marks on that the manufacturer has given us, this rear wheel is aligned, at least aligned with the swinging arm pivot. So what we'll do next is we'll measure that and check it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure from the outside edge of the spindle here, the rear wheel spindle, all the way through to the center of the swing arm pivot. And I'm going to do that on both sides just to see if they are the same. So on this side, going from the outside edge of that spindle, somewhere I can easily replicate on the other side, we are looking at a measurement of 551 millimeters. So let's measure the other side. We've got the tape on the edge of the rear wheel spindle, and here we can see that it's 554. So we got a difference of 3 millimeters more this side, which means the rear wheel is pulled back on the right. That means it's going to steer left a lot easier than it's going to steer right, which is essentially what I've been feeling when I've been riding the bike. So it gives us two options here. Either the rear wheel is out of alignment with the front wheel, or maybe the frame's bent. We'll find out. Now to do this, I'm going to use 3 tools. The first one you've seen already, that's tape measure, which we've already used. I'm going to use a smaller steel rule because I'm going to be measuring some smaller gaps. And equally convenient, a piece of string line. Now I'm going to need the help of a friend today to do this because I can't be at the front of the bike and the back of the bike. So today, I'm going to use Woody. Okay, so I've tied my string line to the rear wheel and I've run it all the way up to the front of the bike and tied it onto Woody, so we've got some tension. Now the bit I'm interested in with this is down at the back wheel is the gap between the string and the tyre here. You can see that is just off of the rear wheel at the moment. Now, what I'm aiming to do is to get the string to give me a parallel line from the rear wheel up to the front. So I need to move that string in a little bit. I'll move that across, and I'm going to move this in until that string line just touches the rear wheel. I'll move the line in and see it's just touched. You see it moving around and it stops. It's moving around, stops. So we know that that's just touched the back wheel. Now the line touching the front of that rear wheel, being tied to the back of the rear wheel as well, we know that this line here is a straight line in parallel with the rear wheel. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure the two dimensions, one from this part of the tyre to here and the other one from here to here, and try and get them the same. Now we've got a 180 tyre on the rear and a 120 on the front. So that means there's 60 difference, but that will be 30 per side. So we're looking at getting a measurement around 30 millimeters on each side. So let's see what the first one is. Okay, so the first measurement is around 29. And on measuring the front of the wheel, we're about 25. So we've got 25 at the front and 29 at the rear. So we're going to actually be looking at the midpoint of that. So I need to just move the wheel out slightly, twist the wheel slightly. That's about 28. I'll measure the rear of the wheel. There you go, 28. So 28 and 28 for this side. I now have to reverse it and do the same for the other side. Okay, so I've got the same setup again, but from the other side. This string is tied to the rear wheel. It's just touching the front edge. The string runs all the way past the front wheel, all the way up to my wooden assistant here. So now what I have to do is do the same process as before. Measure the gap here and the gap here, and then compare those to the 28 millimeters we had the other side. Okay, so let's measure the first measurement here. That's around 35 millimeters there. And let's look at the second one. So he's 35 as well. So we got 35 this side and we've got 28 the other side. So a difference of 7 millimeters. Okay, so the measurements are showing that the gap is smaller on the right hand side, larger on the left hand side. So if you look at your tyre, it's actually turned this way, closer to the right hand side. Now, if I want to get that correct, obviously I have to pull it back this way, which means I can either pull the left-hand side back or I can pull the right-hand side adjuster forward. Either of those will work. But if I was to pull the left-hand side back, I'm actually going to tighten the chain. So I have to do a combination of both to keep that chain in the correct tension. So this side is going to come back slightly and this side is going to go forward slightly. And that should keep the chain correct and put the wheel in the right place. So the next step is to loosen the rear wheel. Right, so I'm going to loosen the rear wheel nut here. It's actually a 30mm nut on this one. Usually they're, I think, a 32. So let's just get that done. It's going to be quite a high torque. So I'll just loosen that. Okay, so I've loosened the rear wheel nut just enough so it still gives some play in the wheel, but I haven't taken it all the way off. I want it to provide a little bit of friction as I undo these, otherwise it'll just fall straight to the back of the swinging arm. I don't want that. So next thing I'm going to do is undo the lock nut on the adjusters. Give ourselves a bit of room to move. And I want to move this side closer to move the wheel forward to give more room at the front. So I'll put that adjuster in a couple of flats. It's got a nice yellow mark on there from the quality assurance testing. Two, that's probably enough. And I'll go around and I'll pull the other side back the other way. Okay, on this side, loosen the lock nut. And this one we're going to pull backwards just slightly. So that this bolt has to come out of the swing arm slightly, pushing the wheel back this way. So that will pull the string closer on the left hand side. Now to make sure that, because this can float a little bit in the swing arm adjuster, what we'll do is we'll try and pull the wheel forward just before we tighten it. The way we do that is with a screwdriver. I prefer to use a thick round screwdriver, and we put that just in between the chain and the sprocket, rotate the wheel, and that tightens the chain, pulling the rear wheel forward against the adjusters. And with that in place, held, I can just lift up the rear wheel nut on the other side. Take my screwdriver out, and I'll reset my string lines and we'll see where we are with that. Okay, so I'll measure the first side again. Let's see what that one was. Okay, he's 30. The other side. 30 as well. So 30, 30 this side. Okay, and the other side of the wheel. 30 there. And 30 there. So I don't know how we managed to get that first time, but bit of luck, we'll take that. So 30 on both sides. Those balls are now in line. So last thing I've got to do is to tighten up the lock nuts and tighten up the rear wheel, and we're done. So the rear axle up to 150 newtons. Go. And then we tighten the lock nuts. I'm just holding this one to stop the adjuster moving. Go around and do the other side. So that's all tightened up. I just thought one last thing I'd do before I put this away is just double check the measurement from the rear axle to the swing arm pivot again. And just, they should be the same now. So there. That is 553, 54. And this is on the chain side. (553-ish). So pretty close. Now, if you're wondering about these dots, how I found the center, there's actually a mark from when the bolt was turned down in the center. That was easily to mark. It was done by a machine. So that's the wheel alignment complete. Don't forget to check your chain tension once you've played around with the rear wheel adjustment. You don't want to end up with too tight or too loose a chain after you've been moving the rear wheel. Working with the string is a little bit labour intensive. You've got to make sure the string stays taut on the rear wheel. You might want to set it up on one side and reset it on the other, unless you want to set it up on both sides at the same time. can slip off. So we're working on a new way. We've got a prototype of a new product, which will make it much easier to do this if you're trying to do this at home by yourself, which often people are. So look out for that video. We're about halfway through making that tool, and we'll show you what we've done and how it was designed and made in a future video. But for now, please subscribe so you can bookmark where we are and come back to future videos. And if you like the video, give us a like as well. Okay, thank you. Bye.